Hey everybody, Steve Shappert, and tonight we're going to teach you the top 10 reasons to use a leadership coach. I'm Steve Shappert with Connecticut Real Estate and Optimum Leadership Television, and our special guest is leadership coach Filson Thomas.
Steve, great to be here.
So that's the intro. Let's dive right into it. Here are, do we get a drum roll? A little laughter. All right.
All right.
Number one, receive personalized guidance and support tailored to your specific needs. Number two, gain insights and perspective from someone with extensive leadership experience. Three, learn new strategies and techniques to overcome obstacles and achieve your goals. Number four is increase self-awareness and identify areas for personal and professional growth. Number five is develop a clear vision and action plan for your leadership development. Number six, receive accountability and encouragement to stay focused on your objectives. Seven is build stronger communication skills and enhance relationships with your team. That's a lot. Oh my God, I have to take a breath.
So, yep.
Here we go. Number eight, stay ahead of industry trends and best practices in leadership. Nine, improve decision-making and problem-solving skills through expert guidance. And number 10, achieve greater success and fulfillment in your leadership role with the help of a coach. Now, that's been quite a mouthful. And fortunately, we have somebody much more knowledgeable than I am. Again, his name is Filson Thomas. Tell us about how to get a hold of you, name your company, all that good stuff to start with.
Awesome. First of all, Steve, great to be here with you and with the studio audience, with everyone who is on the TV watching us. My company's name is ALC.services. So ALC.services, and that's also our website. So you can just go to our website, ALC.services, and you will find us there. And our motto is Leadership Excellence and Development. So that's LEAD, Leadership Excellence and Development. And we just love to add value to people, working with various corporations and different businesses, help them grow. So we just come in twofold, work as a strategic partner, trying with the vision, mission, and all those, and that part of it. So the business part of it, building the business framework, and also with the larger corporations. And we just do the leadership training and all the aspects of leadership training. And one of the things that we see biggest gap is the communication training. So where there's a major communication gap, most of the companies with their marketing and everything, they have the external communication, they nailed it.
Right.
But the internal communication, where the CEO and the C-suite is sitting with a vision and coming down with the frontline employees, they totally miss out on what the vision is, and they're not able to connect with them.
That's where for 1 second and laugh a little bit and go, let me guess, internal communication. Way too many text messages that get misconstrued.
Well, that's
fair assumption.
Fair assumption. This is, well, depending on the organizations, right? So there is a text messages, and the other ones are just using the IMs or the messenger that they use. So there are a lot of misses that happens, and even the email. See, what happens is, for many of people, when they talk about the communication, what they think is, they think the ultimate purpose of the communication is to pass on the message. But that's not the reality. The reality is more than that. The idea of communication is to connect with people. When you
Correct.
connect with people, so many companies, what they do is they send an email out. They do an email blast, and people, they may read it or not read it, and there is no connection that's happening. So the visionary is sitting, the CEO is sitting, and he's sitting with this big vision that he has, and is thinking that has been, or she's thinking that's been communicated, but down the road they are not really connecting with people, and people are still doing what they've been doing before, and nothing has changed. So that's we're seeing with a lot of organizations, they're being challenged, because end of the day, unless your front line is on the same page, with the vision of the senior executives and the management, frontline are more closer to the customer. It's not converted. That vision is not getting translated towards the customer. So that's a very big challenge that we often see happen.
Okay, so let's jump back to the top 10 list. In terms of how you help your customers, seems like personalized guidance. That seems to be a big thing. So how do you help your customers in that way?
Yeah, so it's a great list. So this shows what the whole essence of the leadership coach. So Steve, if you look at any business, right? So let's look at how people join the leadership team. So generally what happens is initially you would see there's a technician or is a solo contributor or individual contributor who does a fabulous job. And they do a great job in whatever they're doing. So if it's in the bank setting, it could be a bank teller. If it's an auto shop, it could be a great mechanic. Or it could be, if it's a sales guy, it's a great salesman, or it's a great IT programmer. And so it's an individual contributor who does a great job. And because of the excellence that he shows in his job and the results he produces, he says like, he's great, let's promote him as a manager.
Right.
And he's suddenly made as a people manager. Now, a technical job or technical skills is totally different from the people management skills.
Absolutely.
And that's where the challenge starts happening. So you were going to say something.
Because I'm a funny guy, I throw in a joke here and there, and I'm just going to go personal observation, referring to what we're talking about here, restaurants.
Oh yeah, here you go.
People think because they love to cook that they're going to open a restaurant, and they're great cooks, but a great cook does not make a great chef, and a great chef does not make a restaurateur.
Business owner. So it's the same thing with any industry that you take, right? So you could be a good realtor, but that won't make you a good real estate business owner. Won't make you a good.
Correct.
So you just have to be. You need to know great. You cannot run a great agency just because you're very good as a realtor, right? So now, what happens is this guy who's been promoted, or the girl who's been promoted as a manager, now they know their work very well and they've been delegated to someone else, but now they don't know how to manage people, but they are just looking at the result they're producing. What does it do? Because that's their strength. You will see a lot of micromanagement happening. They're looking and saying, that's not the way to do it. That's not the way to do it. So once you're converted to a manager, from manager to change into a leader is a totally different ballgame. Because manager is all about systems and process. Leader is about raising people. And that's a big challenge that you see in that first level. So when you talk about personalized guidance, so now what we do is we work with these people who are, what we do is we have what we call as a trimetric. So we just look at the assessment. In the assessment, we look at what is their personality. We look at what are their driving forces. We look at the acumens, and we also look at their competencies. So now with that we put together a very good, we understand what their strengths are, what their job, and we just do a benchmark with the job that they hold. So now, based on this, you might have heard of DISC assessment and the behavior analysis. So the behavior analysis talks about how people behave. But what we look at is the driving forces, why they behave the way they behave. That's more important for us than the behavior part.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work. So that's where when it comes to the personal guidance, so we understand their behaviors, why they behave the way they do, and what their acumens are, what their worldview is.
Okay.
So put that together, that puts a great program.
Brings us down to the second line of gaining insights and perspectives. So it kind of just tails off from the first topic. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So that, can I just take 2 minutes?
So sure.
Yeah.
Because in the first step, you're doing all the assessment, and then in the second step with the insights and perspectives, my thought is that that's when they're starting to absorb what you put them through in the first step. Is that
Absolutely,
correct?
absolutely. So, with there is something we call as the law of the lid. So the law of the lid says is we all have a leadership lid. All right. So let's say as a leader, my lid could be in the scale of 1 to 10. My lid may be 5. So if my lid is on the 5, my organization, my department, my company, so whatever it is, it will never outperform the lid of the leader. So if I am on 5, my department will be, or my team will be always on 4 or under.
Right.
That is why you could see certain company which is like a flourishing, but within that there could be a certain department that's flourishing. There could be another department where they would have a very low, they're not doing well. The reason being the lid of the leader,
Okay.
right? So now that's what we're doing with the gaining insight and perspective with the extensive leadership experience. Now what we're doing is we're working with these people and we say, okay, how can we help you raise your lid? Now that we know your strength, we know your driving forces, we know your acumens, let's put together a good PDP, a
And
personal
we're
development
raising
plan.
the organizational lid, not just the personal lid.
We are raising the lid of the leader.
Okay.
As a lid of the leader gets raised, the department's lid gets raised.
Goes with it.
And the organization eventually gets raised. So I was a very interesting story. I was working with a senior vice president of a Fortune 50 company. It's an online online company. I want just leave it unnamed. So they are very big company. So now what this company? So this guy, he was a senior vice president of finance, but their customer service department was horribly performing. And because they are a web-based online company, for them, the customer service was extremely important, but the customer service was not doing well. They were getting so many complaints about it. That's when the CEO reached out to this guy and he said, listen, can you oversee the customer service? He said, I'm a finance guy. I don't know anything about customer service. So he said, you know what? Don't worry about it. You will learn the job. Go and take care of it. So what's the story here? You got a company which is a Fortune 50, and in meantime, you got an SVP who is highly successful in the finance. Customer service is struggling. CEO understood one thing. The reason customer service is not doing well is because of the lid of the leader of the customer service. He took that guy out, brought somebody with a greater lid, and the customer service started doing very well and the company flourished, right? So it's more than the technical know-how. As a leader, it comes about your leadership capability, and that's where it just
Seems to explain a story that I remember back regarding David Ogilvy, advertising guru. When he interviewed people coming in that he was considering to hire, he had Russian doll on his desk. And he would sit there and he would start taking the Russian doll apart and go, I need you to do the best you can and to attract people better than you. Because if you continue to hire people smaller than you, ding, 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 all the way down, we become a company of dwarfs. And then he puts them back together. He goes, but if you hire people stronger than you are, then we become a company of giants.
Wonderful.
And that is what I need from you.
Exactly. That's exactly what Steve Jobs did, right? He said, I don't want to hire people and tell them what to do, right? I need to hire people who would come in
Tell me.
and do what needs to be done. I know my strengths, but I also know what I don't know.
Right.
So I need people who would come in and do it. And that's why, Steve, it's very
How do you
important.
become a better chess player? By playing people that are better than you.
Exactly. And that's why, Steve, it's very important to watch the revolving door in the front of your office, who's coming in and who's going out. If your number 8s are going out and number 4s are coming in, you have a problem.
Yes. And if you find yourself going out that front door, too often in your career,
Exactly.
then you might want to start looking inside.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's
Yeah.
jump into number 3. It's learning new strategies and techniques. So they've gone through 1, 2, and now they've identified different things, but now they realize that they need to grow. They need to increase their lid. So how are you teaching them new strategies?
See, that's where the beauty of coaching comes into place. Because as a coach, what you bring your own experience. So if I'm coaching you, if I come and suggest to you, Steve, these are the strategies to work on, right? Implement it. It's not your strategy, it's my strategy. And you are just taking certain instructions from me that you're implementing. Now, that's what generally mentors do. Mentors come and say, this is the way to do it, right? But what coach would do is, even if I have a suggestion that I want a recommendation to do, I will ask leading questions and I will try to bring you closer to the solution, the optimum solution, which you think is working out, will be the way. Because there are multiple ways to accomplish it. But now with my asking that question, when you
Again,
come out with a
funny
solution.
questions, but do you do marriage counseling as well? Because this looks like it would work really well.
Well, we have worked with couples too.
I didn't tell you what to do. I'm just going to help you find a way to get to my side.
Yeah. Well, we work with the married couples too. But here is the interesting part. When you're working with, if you come out with an idea, if you come out with a strategy, you're going to own it more than if I tell you what to do.
Absolutely.
So what we do is we work out, we ask about the pros and cons with different ideas. We challenge them to think very differently. Yes, sometimes we, just help them along the way to direct the path. But ideally, we would like you to come with that optimum solution.
It's
and that just becomes very effective.
Kind of like negotiation 101. You need to have the empathy and you need them to come to the idea themselves.
Absolutely.
Because if you're on opposite sides of the fence and you attack, verbally or physically, any way, the other person, every human on the planet, is going to build a wall.
Absolutely.
And then you've blocked yourself.
Yeah, see, it all comes back to the ownership, sense of ownership, right? So earlier when we were talking about the whole communication breakdown, internal communication that's breakdown happens. The problem with that internal communication breakdown is when the communication is passed and the CEO is, the frontline employees, they are not, or even the managers, the mid-level managers, if they are not connecting with the vision, they don't take ownership of it. And if no one is taking ownership of it, then there's a problem, right? And that's why this becomes very important. So when you're coming out with a strategy for your personal development, personal growth, it's very important that you take the ownership. So we work with them, ask the right way, and we also play the role of mentor. We are constantly understanding what are the best practices in this, and we make some suggestions, but we definitely want them to own it.
Okay. So number 4, self-awareness. It sounds like, again, we're just cascading from one into the other. How does self-awareness come into play?
See, self-awareness is very important. So this is how I'll put it. In our lives, each one of us have strengths. Each one of us have weaknesses, right? Now, when you were in school, when they say like you're strong in math, and when you're weak in English, what does the teacher say? You need to work in your English. And you know why you're weak in English? Because you're weak.
Yes.
Right? You're weak. So what that comes back is, so we always understand what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. So what we do is, in the area of your natural ability, we always work in the place of your strength. So, if you are a great speaker, okay, that's your natural ability, let's work in the area of your strength. If you're a great coder, that's your natural ability, logical thinker, let's work in the area of your strength. But In the area of your personal choice, we work in the area of weakness. Integrity is a choice. Discipline is a choice. Commitment is a choice. Hard work is a choice. So in the area of natural ability, with all the hard work you do, you will only go maybe 2 or 3 points up. So for example, let's say you want to do you want to be a singer, right? But there's a small problem. You don't have that natural ability. So let's say you got abilities on the 4. Your number out of the scale of 1 to 10, you're 4. Now what happens is, even if you get the best coach that you want, from 4, you go to 5, you go to 6, and what does that make you? An average.
Yep.
And nobody cares for an average. So, now
makes you poor.
Makes you poor. So, but let's say as you're a speaker and you're on 7, you work on that strength. From 7, you go to 8, you go to 9. Now people are lining up for your appointment.
Absolutely.
Right? So, when we're talking about the self-awareness and identifying the areas of the personal and professional growth, we try to understand what are the areas of the strength in the area of natural ability. We try to understand the area of choice. I'll give you one story.
Okay. I'm going to jump in and go,
Yeah.
We had 9 minutes left.
9 minutes left. So let me just tell you this story very quickly. There is this guy who was IT role. He was doing an IT role. So we did a personality assessment. We did a job profiling. And we're like, this guy is a great salesperson. So they are like, so we spoke with the CEO. We said, why don't you put him in the sales team? He's like, no, but we need him for the IT. So we said, trust us, right? So he said, okay. So we spoke with that guy. Would you like to do the sales role? He said, listen, I have never done sales in my life. So I don't think I can do it. So he said, I will go into the sales if you promise me that if I do not perform well, you will not fire me, you will give me the old role back. CEO said, okay, we'll do that. That year, he was a top salesperson and the company's revenue went up by 20% because he was in the sales department.
Fantastic.
So that's where this comes into play.
Okay, so we're going to jump down the list. We've got probably 8 minutes left. We're all the way down to 5. We're talking about a clear vision and an action plan. Can we talk about that quickly?
Yeah, visions, you need to foresee, you need to see what. So that's one of the things which we always do as a coach, because you can easily get distracted. So as a coach, one of the things which we always do is your goal, your objective, your vision, we always keep in front of you. So now, every time you're working on a project, working on a process, we bring your goal and objective, your vision in front of you and say, okay, how does what you're doing help with that? And that's a reflection on the mirror. That's a reflection. So you're looking at it and you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe perhaps I need to do something different. So that's what we are constantly working on.
So that kind of rolls right into number 6, accountability, encouragement to stay focused, right?
Absolutely.
You were just saying,
and that's, we just bring them back
focused.
To stay focused. We're like, because see, you're always thrown, the works always keep changing. Your challenges, the company, you have new tsunami hit at work and you have a different challenges coming. And the company have a new initiatives coming in and so forth and that point of time you can easily get distracted. And
I call it the shiny red ball syndrome.
That's
very
true.
Red ball rolls across the. And everyone wants to go chase it. You don't chase the shiny red ball.
Well, suddenly the company will have say we need to start with some sustainability project. We need to do some community outreach, and all of these things comes, and we just have to work to find that right balance. And nothing wrong with chasing it. Make sure it's complementing, and your goal is you're very.
But a leader would find somebody on his staff to follow up on the shiny red ball. That looks like a good idea, but if the leader does not stay focused, then the company goes in
absolutely. See, that's where there comes the whole area of empowering someone, delegating someone. And you need to know what you need to be involved in.
Right. So that's number 7, build stronger communication. So leader stays focused. 3 shiny red balls comes in. He delegates and he uses his communication skills to follow down.
See, just on that, even in the communication and they being hands-on, I know we are getting it a little pressed on time. One of the things which we just encourage, that's my personal style of management leadership also. When I'm doing on something, it's my vision. When I'm working with a team, first 20% I'm very heavily involved because it's my vision. I want them to catch on to the vision. First 20% of the task. Once at 20% of the task, they caught on to the vision, I'll let them run for the next 70% with the in-between check-ins. And towards the end, the last 10%, again, I get very heavily involved because I want to make sure the deliverables are right. So in the first 20%, they take the ownership of the vision, and in the next 70%, periodic check-ins are happening. And we just make sure we close it right.
Okay. So number 8, you're going to help them stay ahead of industry trends. And my guess is you're a leadership coach. I'm a leader. I'm focused on real estate, but I'm not focused on leadership techniques. So you're going to help me stay ahead with those trends.
That's where the training comes to play.
Okay.
Right? We include training in our program. So we have constant mentoring is also happening in this whole journey. So you're doing training and the mentorship happens along with it. So that's where this comes to play, yeah.
Okay. So then that runs right into improving decision making and problem solving skills. Also just part of the training.
Yes, it's a little more than that. So now what happens is when you are having a leadership session, one of the coaching session, it always starts with what are your pressing issues right now? Right? So what are your pressing issues right now? And now we let the person being coached, the coachee to be to drive that session, set the agenda, the tone. And now when they are going through, most of the time they're facing some difficulties. As a leader, you always have to make a choice. You have to make a decision.
Absolutely.
So we work with them, again, just putting that vision in front of them, weighing all the pros and cons with the options that are available to give a clarity in the decision making. End of the day, we would like them to make the decision.
Nice.
Yeah.
So end of the day, we're at number 10, achieve greater success and fulfillment in your leadership role.
You know, it's always a problem when the work becomes a chore. If you're not enjoying the
Very well
ride,
said.
if you're not enjoying the journey, it becomes a problem. See, with a leadership, it's very important when you're leading people, you value people. If you don't value people, you will start manipulating them. Right? And
Correct.
when you're talking about your fulfillment and in your leadership role, you want to make sure you're doing it right with the right motive and you're loving the journey. Right? And that's
Gotta be the
once
most
you have that
important part.
satisfaction, when it's work, you want to just, as you know, you're manipulating people, you want to get out of it as soon as possible. But otherwise, when you're loving people, valuing people, it's not a chore. You love to spend time. You would just invest into it. And one big thing that we missed here also is that finding the complete balance, because your work-life balance, your family, and everything comes into play. It's a holistic approach. So that's very important.
Okay, so we literally have 1 minute left. Give me your name, phone number, and your closing thoughts for the night.
My name is Filson Thomas. Our website is alc.services. Phone number 860-385-2059. So, closing thoughts. Well, leadership is a beautiful place to be in, because that's one role where you can make a difference in the life of people, right? And there's a great difference between success and significance. Success is when you succeed. Significance is you help someone succeed, and we help people lead a life of significance.
Beautifully said. Filson,
Great to
thank
be
you
here,
so
Steve.
much for coming in. Everybody, thanks for joining Optimum Leadership Television here in Litchfield, Connecticut. We'll be back soon. Thank you very much.